Hello, and my name is Cliff Craker, and I'm going to take you on a little tour of Scratch. For those of you that have never even opened Scratch up before, this tour will give you insights into what Scratch can do before we begin our Coding Quest project. There are 5 areas that you need to know about in Scratch. And in a sense, you have to think of doing a play or doing drama, doing theater, because many of the terms come from that genre. This area here, where Scratch the cat is sitting on, is called the staging area, or it's the stage. It's where the action takes place. The middle section is the toolbox, where we have the scripts. There are 3 sections to this one. The scripts here, we'll come back to that later. The costumes, and again, costumes, a term that comes out of the theater, and then the sounds, the sound effects. So let's go back to costumes. The students, you can see once you're in an area where it looks like there's little checkerboards there, that's your editor, and students can get the fill command, pick another color, and then they can actually paint and redress the costume of Scratch the cat. And the minute you do it inside the editor, it also shows up on the stage. Now you can see that every character or sprite, these are called sprites, you can see down below sprite number 1, they are in different positions. And that's because if you move them back and forth really quickly, it appears like he's walking. So that is how you produce animation inside Scratch, by moving from costume to costume really quickly. And we'll show you more about that later. Every sprite has a sound attached to it. And here is the sound that's attached to Scratch the cat. It is a meow. I don't think you can hear it now, but it's very annoying. But kids really love clicking on it. Now there are other sounds. If you can see the microphone, you can produce your own sounds, or if you download a sound from the internet, you can upload your own sound. There are other sounds embedded, and you can click on it and see all the different examples of the different sounds. Right now we're looking at all, but you can kind of filter down through the sounds and get the various sounds that you want. The area underneath the stage is where all the sprites are held. If you click the little elf, you can see here are all the different characters and objects that are available to you in Scratch. Right now we're looking at all of them, but again, you can filter them down to see all the animals, the fantasy stories, and the different themes. So if you're doing an underwater theme, it will collect all the underwater sprites for you immediately. And they have bitmap and vector drawings, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. And again, you can edit. You can click on the editor, and I've opened up a new one, and I can click on the editor, or I can upload my own, or if you have a Chromebook or a laptop, I can turn on the camera and take a picture and insert it in as one of the sprites. The 5th area, and it's the smallest area, is down in this area here, and it is the backgrounds. If you click on the icon that looks like mountains, you can see here are all the various backgrounds that are available to students to put into their stories. And again, we're looking at all of them, but you can filter down through the various types of backgrounds that are available for the students. And again, you can use the editor and they can edit their own, or they can upload their own background if they wish, or again hold a background that they've drawn up in front of the camera and take a picture of it and put it inside their story. On the top nav bar are some icons that are important to know about. There is the duplicate stamp. So anytime you take that stamp and click on an item, you get to duplicate it. The pair of scissors, obviously, will cut out, and that's what you can use. You can also use the right click. I can right click over the character or the sprite and I can delete it, or I can right click and duplicate it. So those are two methods up there. Now you have the grow icon and the shrink icon. So if I take the grow icon and click, 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 I can then produce a big daddy cat or a mummy cat. And then if I shrink, I can make a little baby cat, and you can shrink them down. The kids really enjoy shrinking them down so small you can't see them, or enlarging the cat so big that he fills the entire screen. But one of the things that becomes rather important with regard to shrinking and growing, you can see one of the uses would be if I was to start with a character in the foreground very large, and then as the character moved down towards the castle, I would have him get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until he disappeared through the castle wall. So that shrink and grow, once you incorporate it into your coding, is a way to give your story perspective. Or likewise, I could have a bat in the background, and as he flew towards the front, he would get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it would appear like he was flying down towards the character and picking the character up. So that is just a quick overview of the 5 areas of Scratch. There are also words up on top, file. You can start a new one, save what you're doing now, save as a copy. If I have saved it to my computer, I can upload it or download it. If Wi-Fi isn't working, you can download it to your computer, and so on. Or I can record and export the video. Under Edit, I can use the small stage layout. So for example, if I click that little icon there, the staging area gets smaller and I have more room over here to put my various scripts. Many times when the students are playing their games, they can enlarge it to full screen, and then they can play their games by hitting the green flag and see the entire story. This is the edit mode and where students work the most. At the bottom of File, there is this word Revert, and throw away all changes since opening the project. If you click OK, you'll see everything will disappear and we're back to where we started. You obviously would not want to do that if you were working on a game, and you would lose all your files. Okay, that is a quick overview of some of the sections of Scratch, areas at the top, and the next video will take us into the first practice we have with the scripts in the staging area. See you next time. This is Cliff Craker signing off for Coding Quest Videos.